a heart, joining their mother in distributing anti-Nazi newspapers and pamphlets for the resistance, a dangerous act when the Nazis invaded the Netherlands. But with the girls being young, Freddie being only 14 and Trost being only 16, Nazis were less likely to suspect them to be working for the resistance. This is most likely why in 1941, a commander of the Haarlem resistance group to ask their mother if he could recruit Freddie and Trost. Their mother and the girls agreed and were given basic training, and within 2 years the girls are bringing Jewish refugees into hiding, working in emergency hospitals, sabotaging bridges and railway lines, and killing Nazis, sometimes ambushing them from their bicycles. Despite the Netherlands not wanting to acknowledge the girls' achievements, their contributions to helping the Allied powers will never be unnoticed.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Driving it home with Patty Vasquez, Patty Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patty Vasquez.
Hello, everybody. I hope that you are. At least, right? Now I'm hoping just for safe. I would like for all of you to be safe, and as a bonus to also be happy and healthy. I was just talking to our station manager, Mark Pinsky, talking about how I don't ask people how they're doing, or I try to avoid it, because if they say they're doing great, they're either lying. I'm either forcing them to lie, or they're completely separated from the reality so many of us are experiencing, which is why I tend to ask folks if they're staying hydrated. So stay hydrated, folks. That's part of self-care. And yes, that might also include an adult beverage, but then also make sure you're hydrating. If you have a cocktail, have some water too, maybe some electrolytes, one of those little electrolyte packets. But I want to start with gratitude today. First of all, thank you, Lady B. I know we haven't seen each other for a few days. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you to Dan Schaefer for hosting last night. That was a great show. I'm better now about not. I don't want to text anybody that's filling in for me, and I'm not always listening when I'm not here. But I listen to the station all day long, so it's sometimes fun to listen to the shows. I know in the past I've been like, I had to call in one time when I was out of town, and Dan had someone just bombarding him with all kinds of stuff. And at any rate, so I don't text anymore, so people don't think that I'm like judging. But I'm not always listening. But yesterday was such a great show, great calls. Oh, there was one listener. Was her name Naomi who called in? I love Naomi. Naomi, why aren't you calling me? I haven't. Have we talked to Naomi? I don't feel like we talked to Naomi. I look forward to hearing from you again, my friend. As well as so many of our friends that were at Zany's last night on Wells for the John Fugelsang show and a book event. He was amazing. The audience was spectacular. Thank you, everybody, for your kind words. I have to be honest, I don't take anything for granted, in the sense that I'm always delighted and maybe slightly surprised when people are like, oh, I love your show and I'm hydrating, and what? It's so much fun. And I really thank you so much. I tried out some new material, which I kind of was working on my way to the club. There was so much traffic last night. The Cubs game, of course, congratulations, and exciting that the Cubs finally won a game against the Brewers in this wild card games. Is it wild card? At any rate, they're in postseason. I'm just excited for the Cubs to be in the playoffs. So last night's show was wonderful, and folks had a lot of questions for John, both about his book, which is called Separation of Church and Hate. I was delighted to meet so many of our fans and listeners, and some folks who maybe didn't know about our show now do. Perhaps you're tuning in for the first time, and we are so grateful to have you. Today's show, before I get rolling, I do want to let you know I'm super excited about today's show. Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to have Nick Griffin on. He's a comedian performing at Zany's as well. I have known Nick Griffin for over 15 years. We have not spoken in maybe 10, but I look forward to catching up with Nick, because we used to travel together on a comedy tour with a radio show out of Indianapolis, the Bob and Tom Comedy All-Stars, and at the time, Bob and Tom had 145, they were syndicated across the country in 145 different markets. So we used to go anywhere from Kearney, Nebraska to Stockton, California, Eugene, Oregon. We were down Jacksonville, Florida, all over Texas. It was a blast. And I loved working working with Nick because we are so diametrically opposed in our styles. Like Nick is a very kind of subdued comic. He's very, he's just super smart and very deliberate with his words. And I'm just like, hey, everybody, how you doing? And I'm very amped up, and I sometimes just spew whatever's on my mind. I don't necessarily there's comics who are very specific in their writing, like him, another comic like Michael Palisak. And it's almost like the poets, like some who do prose and some who do like the very specific, like staying to the rules. So I loved working with Nick. Look forward to catching up with him because last night reminded me, and the Latina Comedy Festival over the weekend reminded me of how much community there is in laughter and supporting each other that way, and identifying with not just the humor but human experiences, because that's what we are all struggling through right now, is watching people get chased down, get hunted down in their communities. If you've seen this video on WGN News, there was the cemetery along the Des Plaines River. I want to say it was like in one of the river forest something. I apologize because I was kind of watching it while I was doing other work, but there was a cemetery where the ICE agents were trying to get access, and it must have been a part of the cemetery where there was not the public entrance, and they were demanding that the cemetery workers give them access, and they were like, this is private property, and they were trying to help this guy who apparently was in the river, and so the ICE agents cut the chain on the fence, point weapons at the cemetery workers had their phones going. They point weapons right at them. It doesn't look like it was tear gas. One of them was getting pelted. Like he had his shirt. He showed like it was repeated peltings of whatever those chemical pellets are. And then they were taken to one of the near police stations and released. Now, some of the things that we were learning are just this woman that was shot in Brighton Park on Saturday. The original, if you guys remember, as things were unfolding on Saturday, they said that they were being ambushed, that they were surrounded, that this woman and this guy were driving them off the road. Now, body cam evidence that has been requested shows that they were taunting her. They were saying, "Do something, B," right? Not you, B. I mean, can I say the word? But let's not push our luck. But at any rate, they were taunting her, and they also said in the first things that we heard was that she was branded, that she was pointing a weapon at them. In the police report, it doesn't even. They drove her off the road. They shot at her and hit her. They shot her. And now the prosecutors are trying to get this. The prosecutors are trying to decide who to prosecute. Was it? I'm sorry. They instigated and then they lied to the public, and now they're trying to frame the Chicago Police Department. I think it's John Hines is not dispatching officers. I don't know if it was to that location. There's so much happening so fast, but they're nationally on social media. They're disparaging our police department, the city of Chicago, saying that we're withholding our officers to aid them, and yet when police officers show up, they tear gas them. So. That's why I'm saying you should go to comedy clubs once in a while and relieve the stress, especially if it's comics like Nick Griffin, who's coming up in just a few moments, and we also have coming up after that Jimmy Tingle. This is so weird for me because Nick Griffin is a comedian that I have such fond memories of working with, and Jimmy Tingle, who was an inspiration for me to become a stand-up comedian. And then coming up at 6:05, we're going to talk to Reed McCullum, who does such great work, grassroots advocacy and organizing, and he is the chair of the Democratic Party of DuPage County. And then coming up at 6:30, we have an interview with Ellie Krug, the host of the Illegal Trans Woman on KTNF. And I want to say, between Ellie Krug talking about trans rights and her story of becoming who she is and being allowed to do that and having the space, whether it was friends and community, and of course the horrific backlash we're having just to such a minority of the population being amplified to this psychotic rage. And also, Terry Cosgrove told us 2 years ago, told me, like, I just, certain things people tell you that you come back to and go, oh, that's what they said. Terry Cosgrove said that abortion rights, eliminating them and withholding women's bodily autonomy was the path to fascism, authoritarianism. And if you still are reluctant to see this, yesterday Donald Trump said that they've eliminated freedom of speech. I'm not paraphrasing. He said because they are outlawing burning of the flag that we just decided that that's not necessary. We were going to get rid of that. And I don't care there's no context to say either thing. Burning the flag, if that makes you outraged, perhaps reflect on that. Is it the values that you think that men and women have died? And I get it. It's upsetting for the people who do. They're upset about an issue that they think that needs to have attention drawn to it. And people who have served or have this idea of the United States that's a symbol and you're burning it. It's such selective outrage because I remember one day I was driving down Wells, Peyton High School. I saw someone lowering the flag. And so here's the thing. If you are going to be against someone burning the flag, you also have to be against people who don't know how to properly handle a flag. So I saw this guy on Wells bringing down the flag and just like rolling it around on his arm to bring it inside, and has a Girl Scout who we used to play taps, and then we would bring the flag down at Girl Scout camp and we fold it, and all of it's, we fold it in half again and do the triangle all the way to the thing, tuck and have the stars on the outside. I know how to properly fold a flag. If it touches the ground, you're supposed to have the ceremonial burning of it. If your flag you're not supposed to leave your flag up all night. You're not supposed to leave it up. If you do leave it up all night, you're supposed to have it lit, and you are not supposed to leave it up in bad weather. So there's all these other elements, but. So to say that someone burning the flag in protest is no longer a protected First Amendment speech, which has been decided by the Supreme Court previously, is just such selective outrage to me. And at any rate, he said yesterday that we're going to get rid of freedom of speech, and I just it's so I was listening to Jones' show, and I want to say two things. Well, several things. First of all, if you didn't hear all of Jones' show, it's Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, available wherever you listen to your podcasts, both the full show and individual interviews. She was talking about a couple of things that struck me. One, she was talking about people upset when she or I or other people on our shows have said, "Don't go to Broadview anymore." And I haven't given that directive. I've had other guests say that, and I agree with her 100% in the sense that I am not going to suggest that you go someplace where these folks are unhinged and waiting to hurt you. They shot a Pastor Black, in the head with chemical pellets. If you haven't seen the video, you could see the guy lifted from the roof and not even, and he's all in black. He has the pastor, what we know as a minister, and it looked like they were ready to shoot him again. And he buckles and hits the ground, and he had his hands out like Jesus, palms up, begging them to have mercy on the people they were detaining, on their community. And they shoot him in the head with these chemical pellets. Oh, my God. So that's why I think people are urging you to think twice, I think is the best way to do it. And also the other conversation she was having with the young man who has a lot of followers, has started a YouTube channel when he was 9, and on Facebook says that Facebook's exploding. I want to say this. He was talking about how we need to make space for the people who maybe don't align with MAGA anymore. Because a couple years ago, I was asking conservative voters to soften their hearts. And I realize I'm asking people to do something I need to start doing, which is checking my tone when people are starting to have questions, or perhaps they're like, this isn't what I wanted. And instead of saying or making demands like, well, you better, make amends for that and apologize and do the work of coming back, all those things, is I think we have to find that space to soften our hearts, because we do need to gain some ground for it comes down to families. It comes down to our communities. It comes down to workers' rights. It comes down to having access to health care. And that's something that everyone deserves and that we are all fighting for. And that's something I just want to tell you. Oh, let's take a break here because my friend Nick Griffin is on the phone. He'll be at Zanies this weekend. Go to zanies.com to get some information and tune in for our conversation here on WCPT 820. Sponsored by Source Solar. Go to source.solar. Pride Coffee Roasters at pridecoffeeroasters.com, and our friends at MinaquaBrewingCompany.com.
Jew's Views with Richard Jew.
And with us is our own state comptroller, Susanna Mendoza.
I went to this women's event the other day, and I'm telling this story about how I used to love to play soccer, and it just came out. I'm like, yeah, I used to love kicking balls, and not much has changed these days, right? I'm still kicking balls. And anyway, I shouldn't have said it, but I just said it again. But it was super funny. But the point is, yeah, we're out there working hard, and doing what needs to be done, fighting a good fight.
Richard Jew, weekday mornings at 6 on WCPT 820.
If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Corey called to consolidate his debt and was so happy with my advice, he left me this 5-star Google review. Quote, I was looking to pay off debt, so I reached out to David after listening to his radio show. David called me personally and walked me through my options. He shot it straight. There was no beating around the bush or pushing me to sign anything. If any of my family or friends need anything related to a mortgage, I'll give them David's number because you can't get better or more honest service. Thanks, Corey. I strongly encourage everyone to check out our close to 600 5-star Google reviews from listeners like Corey. Team Hochberg helped Corey and thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, MLS 1124061.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez.
Okay, I was thinking about talking to our next guest off the air, but I'm like, let's just do it live because Nick Griffin's on the phone, comedian Nick Griffin, who you may have seen on so many of the late night shows, and I used to tour with him on the Bob and Tom Comedy All-Stars. He'll be at Zany's this weekend. Hi, Nick. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So nice to hear from you.
It's wonderful. I have to tell you, working with you are some of my fondest memories of being on that tour. I have two memories because we used to have to get up so ridiculously early to catch flights, and everything I had was like bubblegum pink for breast cancer awareness. And seeing you, like, you would never let me take my bag to the car. And one time you didn't even know where the car was, and you had left the building with my bag. And I just saw you like wandering around the parking lot with this big, ridiculous bubblegum pink suitcase. And the second was I was changing an appointment for therapy, and you turned to me and you go, "You're in therapy? Thank God." So those are my favorite memories of you.
Well, I think all those Bob and Tommers were, I think all comics in general at least should be in therapy. We're all a little
We are a little damaged.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I've just been out there grinding away, doing the stand-up and still working, and I love it. But I still hate getting up early and have bags.
That's one of the reasons I love having an afternoon show. This is There Was No Way, because that's one of the things that we've always had to do for comedy clubs is do that early morning one after being up until 2 a.m. or later. But tell us a little bit about how are you and I are dissimilar in the sense that you are very selective and specific about your comedy. And tell me, how did you get started in comedy? Was this something that, like, as a kid, you stayed up late watching The Tonight Show? Or I'm just curious about the origins of Nick Griffin.
Well, you're absolutely right. I, like so many people, watched The Tonight. My parents watched The Tonight Show, and we would all sit in their bedroom and watch it. And sometimes we get to watch it, sometimes we wouldn't. But I just remember, it was either Carlin or maybe Stephen Wright or one of these people early on, and I just thought that was the coolest thing, to be standing up in the middle of the Johnny Carson show telling jokes. And I got even more into it when Letterman came around. Letterman came around, I think, around 82 or something, 81, 82. And this goofy guy from the Midwest with a gap in his tooth, and he looked a little awkward, wasn't, necessarily the most confident person, and kind of let it all hang out. And I just felt like that was what I wanted to do. And I went to college, started doing stand-up in college, and just went from there.
What did you study in college?
Oh, gosh. You know what I really did? I went to school and I went to the class guide and found the one major you didn't have to take math, and it was communication. That's how I decided what my degree was going to be, and I have a wonderful, useless communications degree now.
Well, I absolutely adore your humor. Do you remember your first time on stage?
I do. I remember. My brother came down. He brought a bunch of friends, and everything that came out of my mouth was golden. And they laughed and went crazy. And then the second time I went on stage, none of my brothers came down, and no one showed up. Oh. And I bombed. So I realized that when you have a lot of people there who like you, you do well, and when you don't, it's harder. So
a little bit. That does, and that's the crazy thing is that, and you have been on a lot of the late shows. Are you still out of New York?
Yeah, I'm in New York now.
And folks, by the way, we're talking to comedian Nick Griffin. He's at Zanies this weekend. He'll be at the Rosemont Club tomorrow night and Saturday, and then you're downtown at the club on Wells on Sunday, correct?
That's right. Yeah, Sunday downtown.
It's such. And have you done the downtown club before? I think you've done the Rosemont one before, right?
Yeah, I've done the Rosemont a lot more, but yeah, I've done the downtown a few times, but not in a couple of years. So I'm very excited to go back down and do it there.
It's by the way, folks, if you've never been to the Zanies, either one of them, the one in Rosemont is just one of the most comedian-friendly rooms because it's intimate, it's got great acoustics, and the downtown club is legendary. It's been there since 1978, and you don't want to miss Nick Griffin. And you can also find out more, for those of you listening in Seattle, you can go to nickgriffin.net to see his entire schedule and his tour dates coming up. You're going to Germany?
I am. There's a comic who comes through New York, a German comic who comes through New York who told me one day, "Oh, I really like your comedy." And I said, "Oh, gosh, you're from Germany. I'd love to, play out of the country." And he said, "Well, if you want to come to open for me for a few dates in the fall, I'd love to have you." And so, I'm not making a bunch of money, but I'm going over there just for the experience. I'm really excited about it. His name's Oliver Pollock. And, we're just doing some small clubs through Germany.
That's fantastic. And everyone can catch his special on YouTube, Nick Griffin, absolutely wonderful, as well as Cheer Up on Prime. You should catch all of Nick's stuff. You can it's just so much fun to think of like the nights that we had and that you've got these great specials out. I mean, it's changed a lot for us since then. I mean, we weren't doing social media. I wish I had like tons of selfies from these tours. But how have you seen social media affect the audiences? Because I'm not up for the crowd work stuff that everyone seems to want to use for their clips.
Well, I'm in the same boat as you. I feel like I've been behind the times almost every time something big happened, and social media was a big thing, and people were talking about it. And I remember seeing early on people doing clips and stuff, and I just thought this can't be what we're supposed to do. And of course, it changed the face of comedy and made a lot of people very, very famous. And I didn't get behind it. I'm not a big crowd work guy. I do it, but not a lot. And I just I wasn't ready for it. I totally wasn't ready for it. And that's on me. I should have been more sharp and more intelligent about what was coming.
I talked to Dwayne, Dwayne Kennedy.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you. So it's for the younger comics. I feel like I have to but me, you, Dwayne, a lot of us, I think, at our kind of, and I'm not saying all comics around our sort of level or years of experience, but Dwayne feels the same way. Like he feels kind of silly, like holding up a phone and talking to it, or putting the camera up, and like, because for me, putting the camera up, and I get that. Are you a comic that always tapes your set, or have you been?
Well, I certainly tape it a lot. I don't know if I ever listened to it, but right. I tape it on.
I only see, that's the thing. I only audio tape my sets and then have a transcription of it so I can go through it. But yeah, I mean, like it's changed the nature of our business. But are you? I mean, I'm just coming back to doing it more regularly. But were you doing like virtual shows during the pandemic? I'm catching up with a friend, folks. I'm sorry if you guys are along for the ride, but how was it during the pandemic for you?
Yeah. Pandemic was really, really slow. I think I did maybe 3 Zoom shows. New York's comics were pretty enterprising and were doing stuff on rooftops and alleyways. And I did a lot of shows in Central Park, which was, awful as you can imagine. But just to keep your chops a little up, I did that stuff. And it's been, I think my career or my dates in terms of touring really slowed down after the pandemic. I think that's when, as we were talking earlier, a lot of that clip stuff happened where you were posting a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Getting your name out there because there wasn't anything else to do. And and now, I'm older, I'm in my late 50s and I'm being more selective because, like I said, we said earlier, it's hard to get up in the morning and go out to Boise or, wherever we're headed. Yeah. But yeah, I still love doing it and I'm still happy. And I can't believe I've been lucky enough to, do some of those gigs like you and I did where we were in these cool theaters and working with comics we loved.
Well, I got to figure out a way for us to be able to do that again. I've got ideas for our sort of level of comics that are not going to sit there with the
Sure.
So I'm working on it. I don't want to make any promises. And just like I want to come see you this weekend. I hate being that radio personality. Like I'm going to come out and see you, and then you don't see me. But I'm gonna. But everyone should. I'll figure this out to come see you because I really do miss you and have such great fond memories. And you were one of the funniest comics. Oh, one more thing. Did you ever end up buying the website what'sleft.com?
No, I did not hit them.
For those of you who don't know, I guess you have to check out his specials and see if it's in there. But again, that's Nick Griffin. Go to nickgriffin.net for everyone around the country. Here in Chicago, he'll be at Rosemont Zanies October 10th and 11th. That's tomorrow and Saturday. And on the 12th at Zanies on Wells downtown. Nick, I'm sorry you couldn't come in studio, but if you are back, when you're back in town, please try to come in studio and just hang out with me.
Patty, it was so much fun getting back to hearing from you. So I'll have a good weekend and try to make it into the studio next time.
I appreciate that, but no pressure for you. Because here's the thing: if I get out to the club, then you owe me coming in studio. How's that?
Oh, definitely. Okay.
That's no pressure for next time you come into town.
Right. All right.
Be well, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you. Let's take a break here, and we're going to talk to another one of my favorite comedians. We're going to talk to Jimmy Tingle in just a moment on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, and KKNW 1150 in Seattle, Washington. I have to say bye to Nick in a moment. Hold on a second.
You're listening to
Nick. That was awesome.
WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
Of course. Are you kidding me? Anytime, please.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Look for clear skies tonight with a low near 50 and winds out of the southeast at 5 to 10. Friday, cloudy with a couple of isolated showers in the afternoon. High temperature of 64. Southwest winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Saturday, lots of sun and a high of 64 degrees. Sunday, plenty of sunshine with a high temperature of 65. Monday, lots of sun with a high temperature around 72. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 62.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
You know that you can listen to Chicago's Progressive Talk on WCPT AM 820. Stream us live at WCPT820.com and on the TuneIn Radio app. Or you can ask Alexa, Siri, or Google to play WCPT from TuneIn. But now you have another option. We're simulcasting our programming overnights. 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. on WSBC AM 1240 for a clearer reception in and around the city. Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820. And now overnights on WSBC 1240 AM, where facts matter.
It's nice to know someone is on your side. Mark Drugs always has your back. No two dogs are the same. A dosage form or strength of medication that works for one dog may not work for another. A compounding pharmacy like Mark Drugs is here to help you with your pet's medication challenges. We'll be happy to help you when your pet is sick. After all, it can affect the whole family. That's why we give our four-legged patients customized medications to make it easier for them to take. For pet medication problems, first see your veterinarian, then talk to your hometown independent compounding pharmacy, Mark Drugs. If you'd like to know more about the ways we can personalize medication for each individual patient, we'd be happy to help. We are a compounding pharmacy, which means we can prepare the medication prescribed in a strength and dosage form that meets the patient's needs. Ask us how our pharmacy can help. You have a choice when it comes to your health care, and a great choice is Mark Drugs and Roselle and Deerfield, where you get better health and care for you and your pets. Check out the Pet of the Month at markdrugs.com.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez.
Well, just a moment ago, we were talking to a comedian that I've had the pleasure of working with over the years. And now I have to tell you, when I was in high school, and sorry, so I hope my guest doesn't mind, but in high school, I heard an album called Strange Bedfellows. And it was with political comedians that just it opened up my world as to how you could talk about what's going on in the world, current events, in particular politics. And it featured just some of the best comedians and political humorists at the time, including Randy Credico, well, all of them, Randy Credico, Barry Crimmins, Will Durst, and our very own, on the line with us right now, Jimmy Tingle. Jimmy, how are you doing, my friend?
Howdy doody.
You're in part to blame for my going into comedy, and you can take credit for my having now a progressive radio show. So let's do all that. Hi.
Congratulations, Patty. It's excellent to hear from you, and thanks for the wonderful introduction. You brought me back. You brought me back to those days with my brothers there, Barry Crimmins, Durst, Randy, and we did Strange Bedfellows. That was the election of 1988.
I know.
And we did it on A&M Records, and we were all living in New York at the time. Well, Durst was in San Francisco, and they started going to the clubs looking for political humor, and I wasn't even considering myself a political humorist. I was just doing stuff that was in the news, what was in the headlines. And anyway, they chose me and Barry and Will and Randy to make an album. So that was a real thrill.
And really, and for me, what it was, Will would kind of break things down. The Iran-Iraq, they're selling arms to, I can't even remember what this was now, but
both sides.
It was amazing, but it was such a wonderful, beautiful way of explaining it to folks who might not otherwise understand it. And for you as well, it was like the sort of like jolly outrage. Is that a good way to put it?
I think so. Yeah. Well, we had to make people laugh because, in the words of Woody Allen, if you make people laugh, that's great. If you make them laugh and think, that's tremendous. But if you just make them think, you're in trouble.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and I remember opening for Will Durst at Zany's one time, and this woman, which was surreal, and this woman came up to me. She's like, "I came to come to laugh, not to think," and so clearly, yeah.
Well, you know what it is, Patty? We get so into it. I'll speak for myself, and you're probably the same way. We get so into it. We read the papers, and we're outraged by the headline, and we don't really have a joke for it yet.
Yes.
But we want to go out there and go, "Can you believe this shit?" Right? And And then, okay, where's the joke? I haven't come up with a joke yet. I just wanted to tell you, can you believe this?
Yes.
And so that's the challenge with political humor. I think, who does it brilliantly right now? For my money, Colbert.
Yeah.
His opening is just amazing. In terms of television, anyway, he's just the stuff they come up with. His writers, I just can't believe how good they are.
I really have to put you in there though with I mean, like, when you think about the work that Will Rogers did, sort of that oh shucks kind of guy with the twirling the lasso and finding a way to, like you said, make people laugh but also think, with some brilliant observations. And you went viral earlier this year at the commencement at Harvard and talking about the world and tell us a little bit about that experience, because it was fantastic to see the younger generation find you as well.
Yeah, the commencement address at Harvard. Well, I did it in 2010. I went back to school because that's how much into politics I was and am. I really, the only reason I started doing political humor is because I like politics. I follow it and I love history, and I studied it, and in college, not as a great scholar or anything, and then I got into comedy and I started just to apply, like most comics, they apply what they care about to their act. So a lot of people into relationships, a lot of people into sports, TV shows. Everybody kind of finds their thing. I was into politics, and that's what I like talking about. So I went back to school in 2010. I went to the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard, and it was kind of a dream come true, because when I was I grew up in Cambridge, Mass, and in Cambridge, Mass, if you do really well in school, the college, Harvard, will give a certain amount of scholarships to kids from the public schools who do well. So I can remember in the third grade, my mother saying, Jimmy, listen to your mother. If you study really hard and do really well in school, someday you could go to Harvard. Third grade, she's telling me this. By the sixth grade, Patty, she stopped telling me that.
Poor
yeah,
Jimmy.
I know. But when I got to become an adult, and after I went back, and I have to tell you, the great thing about I went back in my 50s, all right, to school to get a master's degree. And the great thing about going back to school in your 50s, you get the student ID and the senior discount. So I highly recommend it, right?
Fantastic.
But anyway, so and I'm at the school, and I'm just loving it. And one of the professors showed us they showed us Steve Jobs' commencement address, and that was the class was arts and communication, about communicating to lots of people. And I had never studied communicating. We just did it, right? We were just in clubs and we just did it. But over the years, you inadvertently know how to hone a message. So I said, do they do commencement addresses here? And she said, yes. She said, you should apply. You should apply. Anyway, long story short, I applied to this competition to do the Harvard Graduate School commencement address in 2010, and the law school, the medical school, the business school, the Kennedy School, everybody submits their submissions, like 50 people. Anyway, they chose me out of many people, and I ended up giving the commencement address in 2010. And Meryl Streep was getting a honorary degree there the day I gave it. So it was a blast. And I was talking about the international students, because one of the great things, Patty, about it was, and that's why I put that clip out this year, because they were in the news again. But one of the greatest things was there was so much hope in the school. There was so much hope, idealism, and we had extra help sessions, right? And I went to every single extra help session that they offered. I hadn't been in school in 40 years. So I went to 30 years, and I went to every single extra help session they offered. And it was always a very familiar scenario. It was me and 19 students from other countries, okay? Countries often in conflict with one another. India and Pakistan, Turkey and Greece, Israelis and Palestinians. All of us in the same classroom helping one another, all of us learning from one another, all of us supporting one another across racial, ethnic, and religious lines. And Patty, I say this as a native Bostonian, all of us with English as a second language.
Yeah. Amazing. And
so it was a blast. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, is it like, because it resonates so hard right now, all the elements of it, international students and the attacks now on Harvard. I do want to mention before it gets away from me, we have a listener who is a veteran and is back in school to get his degree in political science at a neighborhood. He's 70. I think he's 72. Our listener, Steve, who I got to meet in person last night. And
cool.
It's amazing. So he's interested too. He's fired up about what's happening. Let me ask you this. So I'm struggling these days because I am and I don't want to say vengeful, but I not to the level of the current administration, but I want accountability. I want justice, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to soften my heart for the people who are starting to realize that being in this cult or their vote is having harmful impact. Where are you talking to anybody that's like, this isn't what I voted for? Are you talking to any of those folks?
Well, I'll tell you, Patty, how I dealt with it in 2016 and how I deal with it now. And this is how I deal with it on stage. And I just try to tell the truth. At Trump's inauguration this year, I got a call. The flags were at half-mast for Jimmy Carter's funeral. And I got a call from a friend and he said, Jimmy, do you know what Jimmy Carter said on the Stephen Colbert show when he was, like 6 or 7 years ago when Trump first got in? I said, no, what? He goes, Colbert asked him, how do you deal with Donald Trump? And Jimmy Carter said, I pray for Donald Trump every single day. I pray for him, his family, his administration, his followers, because I know how hard it is to be the president. And when I heard that, I was like you're saying right now, anguish, resentment, etc. I said, I got to start doing that. So I just started doing that. I've been in recovery a long time, and they say if you got a resentment, to pray for the people or the things you resent. And so I started doing it. I don't do it every day, but I do it when the anger starts to come up. And I just pray for the president, his family, his followers, the victims of his policies. I do. And I pray that they find happiness and peace and joy and love. And it relieves me of anger. It relieves me of fear and just anger, because I got to go on stage and I got to be balanced. I've got to be normal. I'm talking into a microphone in front of strangers. They're looking to us for inspiration. People are looking for us for hope and inspiration and how to live and try to be the change we want in the world. So that's the tact I've taken. And as far as the Trumpers are concerned, after 2016, I had, back and forth with friends and guys in my health club about it. And when Trump won the first time, he said, how am I going to deal with this? I said, I know. What if I just say congratulations? And so I just started to say a couple of guys in the health club, hey, man, congratulations. You guys won. Let's see what happens. And Patty, the guy just lit up. He felt heard. He felt respected. He felt like, thank you, Jimmy. He said, thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate it. And our relationship went to a different level. And I did this with another friend of mine who's a comic, big comic. He's a Republican, and he was a Trumper. I did the same thing. And again, he felt heard. He felt respected. And I got to give these people the same respect that, I wanted when Obama won, when my guys win. And not that they're in the same class, in my opinion, as leaders, but that's the tact I've taken, and I find it healthy, and I find I can live with myself doing it because I'm not pissed off all the time.
I hear you. Well, see, and that's, I think, okay, let's continue our conversation. Do you mind hanging out for another segment, my friend?
Oh, I'd love to.
Excellent. We're talking to comedian Jimmy Tingle. You can go to his website, jimmytingle.com, if you're in on the East Coast. He has a show coming up on November 8th at Humor and Hope for Humanity at the Spire Center for Performing Arts, and you get the tickets online. And I look forward to our next segment with Jimmy Tingle on WCPT 820 and KKNW 1150 in Seattle, Washington. More in a moment.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. During Donald Trump's 2024 presidential campaign, and now even, he had his rallies where he poorly danced to the YMCA. Let's take a look at all the musicians who threatened to sue Donald Trump if he used any of their music at his rallies. ABBA, Adele, Aerosmith, Andrew Lloyd Webber, The Animals, Beyonce, Bruce Springsteen, Celine Dion, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Earth, Wind & Fire, Elton John, The Foo Fighters, Free, Guns N' Roses, Linkin Park, Neil Young, Nickelback, Olivia Rodrigo, Ozzy Osbourne, Panic at the Disco, Pharrell Williams, Phil Collins, and yes, that includes Genesis too, guys. The Estate of Prince, Queen, R.E.M., Rihanna, The Rolling Stones, Spinal Tap, Tom Petty, and Twisted Sister. So if you're looking to buy some records or go see a concert, I consider checking those artists out. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. During the Civil War, 11% of the Confederate Army was made up of enslaved men forced to join. One of these men was Robert Smalls. Smalls was a deckhand on the Confederate supply ship known as the Planter. During his time, Smalls learned as much as he could about navigating the ship so he and others could escape. And on May 13th of 1862, while officers were sleeping, Smalls, along with 16 others, took the Planter out of the Charleston harbor, navigating through all 5 checkpoints while heading to open waters looking for the Union blockade. Smalls raised a white flag of surrender, letting Union soldiers board the ship, giving them guns, ammo, and documents about planned Confederate attacks. Being a wealth of information, Smalls was given the role of the Union Navy captain. Stories like Smalls are one of the many factors convincing President Lincoln to allow free African Americans to serve in the Union Army. This has been a WCPT Veteran Minute.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez.
And you're listening to me talk to one of my favorite comedians ever. Jimmy Tingle is on the line with us. We were talking about doing political comedy and that you have to go out on stage balanced and knowing that you want to give people hope and inspiration. And you're giving me hope and inspiration, my friend. Thank you for that.
Oh, good. Well, Patty, thank you for having me on. And I just want to say, for my audience, what I say about praying for Trump, I say, no, I'm praying for him. Now, listen, I know a lot of you want to get. I know a lot of you are praying for lightning, and I understand that.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Right. Well, and that's the thing is that, like, even then, because we're in such delicate times, right? In the sense of, like, what we say and how that's because liberals are being accused, like the radical right is accusing us of inciting violence, of having hateful rhetoric, and so maybe I get the feeling like sometimes it doesn't matter what we say, but I think your argument is that it does, and if they don't accept it, that we can't take responsibility for that either, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like every person's different. You know what I mean? Everybody's different in their approach, but I'm trying to not be part of the problem, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Like today, I was just doing some meditation. I'm saying I do these essays every week for a radio station here, and this one I did today on immigration reform. I can read it to you if you like. It's only a minute. You want me to? All right, let me just get in front of the computer. So this is the type of stuff I'm talking about because it has to be, the way I look at it is we have to not only know what we're against, but what are we for? What are we advocating for? And so here's an example. This is like a minute. It's not completely done yet, but here we go. The Republican Party of Ronald Reagan, together with Democratic Party of Tip O'Neill, passed the 1986 Immigration Reform and Control Act that ultimately allowed approximately 2.7 million people to be approved for permanent citizenship. Republican Ronald Reagan said, quote, "This act will go far to improve the lives of individuals who now must hide in the shadows. Very soon, many of these men and women will be able to step into the sunlight and ultimately, if they choose, become Americans." Trump's Republican Party has allocated $170 billion for border security with the goal of deporting 1 million immigrants a year, the vast majority hardworking, law-abiding people trying to build a better life. Imagine if both parties worked together to spend $170 billion not only on border security, but to process the legitimate asylum claims, green card, and citizenship applications, which helped make America great in the first place, when we legally accepted 1 million new immigrants a year, when the Statue of Liberty stood for freedom, not ICE raids in the night, where both parties were dedicated to making America, well, America again.
Yes. Yes.
So that's what I'm talking about. Trying to say, I'm not into this, what's happening, but imagine this. You know, what are we for? And that's, I think, really what I call us the loyal opposition. that's what we got to do. I say that for myself. I feel like, okay, what am I for?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And
I agree. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, that's what I meant. I mean, trying to think, but that's more work. You know what I mean? It's more work because my instinct is like the retaliatory instinct.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Same.
And I'm always very reactive. You know, I'm like reacting to everything. At least mentally reacting. And I got to be proactive. What am I proactive about intellectually, politically, and just in the way we do things? Like I'm sure you probably go into the No Kings rallies, and I'm sure Chicago is having them next weekend, right?
Well, and to that, I may have to reach out to you because I'm speaking at the No Kings rally in Arlington Heights, and I'm exactly on the same track as you are. I don't want to talk about all the things, all the horrifying. We all see it. We all see the horrifying things that are happening. I want to talk about what our vision is, and for me, that's about having access to health care and being able to afford your house and have not just a survivable wage, but a thriving wage that you can, enjoy yourself and be creative or relax or have a hobby, whatever, all those things. And that's so I may reach out to you for advice on my speech.
Sure, I'm happy to talk to you offline. But that's exactly right. We can do better.
Yes.
We can do better. Of course, immigration needs work, but is busting into people's houses in the middle of the night or dragging kids out of their homes or going to raiding workplaces, and is that really the best we can do when it comes to immigration reform? That's not what Ronald Reagan did. And he's the hero of the conservative movement. That's not what the Democrats did back in the day. That's not what America is about. Let's make America again.
I love that. I love that. And I wonder, does We Can Do Better work for a slogan for progressives? We can do better. I don't know, is that aspirational enough? Like,
yeah,
we can do better.
It's in the ballpark.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah,
we can do better. I'm trying to see it on a baseball hat or a shirt because we're not as good at marketing as they are. That's always been the part of my problem. Is that long drum beat that they've had, whether it was Rush Limbaugh or Fox News, manipulation through fear and hatred. That's kind of the challenge that we have too, don't you think?
Definitely. And I always said, like, people say, how did Trump win the first time? And I would say one of the ways he won, he had short, simple sentences. He had like 3-word sentences, of what he was going to do. Build the wall, lock her up, drain the swamp, make America great. 3 words. And I would say, something, we have our own 3 words. Feed the hungry, house the homeless, heal the sick, welcome the stranger, and I would add, fix the trains.
Yes. We're all plotting here.
I would say, if John F. Kennedy could inspire a generation to go to the moon, we can get a train to go to Springfield.
We were so close. That's so funny because we were in the right direction with the trains under Biden, but I guess that's something that's going to have to wait another.
Right. And the other thing about Trump is, how did he win? He had very powerful allies. He cut corporate taxes. The corporations loved him. He cut environmental regulations. The oil and gas industry loved him. That man, Patty, actually cut regulations for the Judeo-Christian tradition. The 10 Commandments are down to 6. Patty, he got rid of lying, stealing, cheating, and adultery.
I know. Yeah, that's the other tablet that Mel Brooks drops, right?
Right. Four more years of this man, there'll be no more commandments, Patty.
It is absolutely maddening. Oh, man. It's so great to catch up with you, Jimmy. I know the last time Jimmy and I spoke was over a year ago at the DNC. And, man, I was feeling good there. But, it's been a long year. We need to not take so long to get back in touch with each other. So if you don't mind, I do want to reach out. Would love,
of course.
Are you planning to come to Chicago anytime soon? Or are you?
I'm trying to get a gig there, Patty, for November 20th. Or 21st or 19th.
Okay.
If you can recommend a club, if you can give me any contacts for Zanies or any of the clubs there. I'm in town for a conference during the day on the 20th. I'm coming in the night of the 19th. I'd love to do something out in Rosemont. I'm just trying. It's hard to get through to these clubs and find out who the bookers are, and especially in the middle of the week. Or any small theaters you can recommend. Any place I can just do some time, do my one-man show. I also have a film out, Patty, that's on my website. It's free. It's called Jimmy Tingle, The Radical Middle. Why would a comedian run for office?
You and I can talk more about that, too. It's Jimmy Tingle. Go to jimmytingle.com, and we will have Jimmy on again soon. And I do have an idea for you. So connect with, I think Jerry's got your information. Let's connect and see if I can get you a space. Maybe I can open for you if you'll have me, and we can do it that way if that's okay with you. It could even just be, here's Jimmy Tingle. I don't care.
We'll figure it out. But thank you so much.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thanks for having me. But your listeners can watch the film for free on my website at jimmytingle.com. It's about my run for lieutenant governor of Massachusetts.
Outstanding.
And, it was a hoot.
Excellent. It's tremendous to catch up with you, and thank you for my parents might not thank you for setting me on the path to comedy, but I certainly do. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Patty, for having me. Great
of course.
job.
Take care. You too. More after this.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We're going to talk to Reed McCollum when we come back on WCPT and KKNW 1150.
Fall is here and colder nights are on the way. Is your home ready to stay warm and energy efficient? Green Attic is Chicagoland's trusted expert in attic insulation, spray foam, crawl space encapsulation, and mold remediation, solutions that seal in comfort and cut down on high heating bills. If your upstairs feels drafty or your heating system is constantly running, your attic may be to blame. Their team helps balance temperatures and reduce energy waste from the top down. They also offer full-service roofing through Green Attic Roofing, covering asphalt shingles, flat roofs, premium roofing solutions, and solar panels. Every project comes with a 10-year labor warranty and instant online estimates to help homeowners replace aging roofs before winter sets in. With over 15 years of experience and over 1,000 five-star reviews, Green Attic delivers real comfort season after season. Visit greenattic.com for a free installation consultation or go to greenatticroofing.com for an instant roofing estimate today.
From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at amazonbusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. New York Attorney General Letitia James is facing federal fraud charges. Ed Donahue has details.
She is the latest foe of President Trump to be prosecuted by his Justice Department.
Letitia James, a total crook. All they do is want to go after political opponents.
James sued Donald Trump and his company for fraud as he was running for office. She was indicted on charges of mortgage fraud and making false statements. 2 weeks ago, the Trump administration pushed out Eric Siebert, the prosecutor who oversaw the James investigation for months, but had resisted pressure to file a case. The president spoke here last month.
It looks to me like she's very guilty of something.
The replacement, Lindsay Halligan, is a White House aide who was once Donald Trump's personal lawyer, but has never worked as a federal prosecutor. Letitia James says the case is baseless and a weaponization of the justice system. Ed Donahue, Washington.
The Israeli cabinet's currently debating the Gaza ceasefire deal. U.S. officials tell AP about 200 U.S. troops will be sent to help support and monitor it. And Sagar Magani reports President Trump's been celebrating.
The president calls it a moment in time, nations coming together to achieve what he says was unthinkable for millennia.
People that didn't get along, people that didn't like each other.
And with the last remaining Israeli hostages due to be released early next week,
I'm going to try and make a trip over.
Suggesting he'll be in Egypt for an official deal signing. And while there is relief in both Gaza and Jerusalem,
we cried all morning.
There's uncertainty about parts of the Trump administration's broader ceasefire plan, like how and even if Hamas will disarm and who will govern Gaza. Israel kept up strikes on the territory even as word of a deal spread. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
This is AP News. In baseball, Gethin Coolbaugh reports the Blue Jays are headed to the American League Championship Series after eliminating the Yankees with a 5-2 Game 4 ALDS win. Nathan Lucas had a key two-run single in the seventh for Toronto manager John Schneider's team.
Just happy for everyone that was involved and kind of fitting that it took everyone to win today.
The Tigers forced a winner-take-all Game 5 in their AL Division Series against the Mariners with a 9-3 win. In the NLDS, Kyle Schwarber homered twice, and the Phillies avoided a sweep by the Dodgers with an 8-2 Game 3 win.
We were responding, so that's something that we have a knack for here. That's something that's never going to leave us. We have to keep that same feeling, that same fight.
The Cubs also avoided a sweep with a 4-3 win over the Brewers. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh. The Dodgers and Phillies are underway in L.A. with the Brewers-Cubs Game 4 coming up later in Chicago. There's more news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Look for clear skies tonight with a low near 50 and winds out of the southeast at 5 to 10. Friday, cloudy with a couple of isolated showers in the afternoon. High temperature of 64. Southwest winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Saturday, lots of sun and a high of 64 degrees. Sunday, plenty of sunshine with a high temperature of 65. Monday, lots of sun with a high temperature around 72. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 61.
WCPT replay.
I am, of course, thrilled to be joined by Simon Rosenberg. There is an incredible body of language and thought and argumentation around encouraging violence on the right against those other people. There is no such ideology on the left. It just doesn't exist. In fact, our movement is desperately, ferociously fighting to preserve rule of law and democracy. Battling liberalism is the central undertaking of our collective project. And we've seen millions and millions and millions of people this year, tens of millions, protest legally without any incident. It's incredible how many people have been on the street this year with no incidents of any kind. Mm-hmm. All of this is we're channeling our frustrations in the way that you do in a democracy.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patty Vasquez, Patty Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patty Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. And we want to especially thank our sponsors for making these. Well, I want to especially thank everybody, but I also want to remember to thank our sponsors who make these conversations possible. Coming up this weekend at the Jefferson Park Sunday Market, I'll be volunteering. And that's where I get to hang out with my friends from Pride Coffee Roasters, who also support the show. You can go to pridecoffeeroasters.com. They have a limited time discount for you. If you type in Drive Home 10 when you check out, you get 10% off your entire order. And you also want to check out their webpage. You can get a bean subscription. They are freaking amazing. Every month you'll receive one of their signature single origin bag of coffee along with another bag of fun featured blends. So check out pridecoffeeroasters.com. They also have some gay swag. As I always mention, I love my Sounds Gay I'm In tote bag. So it's pridecoffeeroasters.com. Also visit MinaquaBrewingCompany.com. Subscribe to their newsletter and check out the work that Kirk Banks said about Ben Kamenos. And I also do every single week and day. Mine's on Mondays. I think Ben's is on Tuesdays. Kirk is got so many adventures. He writes about them quite often. So also check out their incredible line of progressive beers, some fun swag, woke coffee, just to name a few of the great items you'll find on MinocquaBrinkCompany.com. We also want to thank our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar. Maybe it's time to get some solar panels on your house or business. Make an appointment with Peter, and he'll come out and explain the entire process to you. That's source.solar. Let's get to our friend Reed McCollum, who's on the line from DuPage County Dems. He's the chair of the DuPage County Dems. Hi, are you staying hydrated, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Patty. How are you?
You know, I live in Chicago. It's a war zone. We're just running from foxhole to foxhole, my friend, just to do the best that we can.
I know. We have they're out here in DuPage and all over the county, and we're just doing everything we can to fight back as well. It is a different time that we live in.
Yeah, it's different than even the last time we spoke. I know that your state, I believe, is she your state senator? I know she's out in DuPage County, Karina Villa, who's also running for state controller. She has been really out there calling attention to the instances of kidnapping in areas in your neck of the woods, right?
Yep. Yeah, no, she covers part of DuPage, and, we have Congresswoman Delia Ramirez,
yes,
and Barbara Hernandez, and Norma Hernandez, and my congressman is Chuy Garcia. So I think a lot of people don't think of, a lot of Latinos in the suburbs, but DuPage County is very diverse, and we have a lot of great leaders in the Latino community out here, and all of them are fighting back, and so many folks that are allies are doing everything we can to support spreading awareness and mutual aid for folks that are afraid to leave their homes. People from DuPage have been heading over to the Broadview ICE facility to join protests that I'm sure all of your listeners know about those, just a few miles outside of DuPage County. So we're feeling the same, tyranny out here and doing everything we can to stand up against it.
Yeah, it is. It's. I think for some people, it's even still hard for them to wrap their minds around or to acknowledge that what is happening is tyranny. Talk to us a little bit about that language and what folks in your neck of the woods are talking about these days.
Well, I mean, it's the right-wing message is like, oh, well, it's so mean to call us Nazis. You guys are inflaming violence, and that I just utterly reject that. Calling out fascism and tyranny is exactly what we need to be doing. We do need to make sure that we're not demonizing people on the other side of the, quote-unquote political divide, but calling out these fascist behaviors and many of the leaders of the Republican Party and then the rest who are quietly going along with this tyranny is exactly the important ethical stand that people need to be taking. And, we've got the No Kings protests coming up. There's, dozens of places across Chicagoland that folks can join those protests a week from Saturday. It's one of the most important ways that they can fight back. But, as our governor has said, this is the moment, and not enough people are standing up to, actual authoritarianism in this country.
And I think that, some folks are still trying to figure out how to get involved. And there's so many different ways. And you have events even in your, this weekend ahead of the No Kings protests and rallies for next week. Tell us a little bit about what you have going on Saturday.
Yeah, so we have a sign-making party at our office. It's all about community as part of resistance. There are protests that are happening out here every Saturday. We have days of action to support candidates. So it's good that I don't know which specific one you're talking about because we have so much going on every Saturday.
No, that's the one. The sign-making event, absolutely. And I know you also have some. There's a lot of candidates right now running for the primaries. And do you have any? Are there's judges who the primary is the election, right? Are there some of those on the ballot coming up in March as well?
None where the primary is the election, but we do have two sub-circuits where appointed judges will run for their seat next fall. That is former State Representative Tara Costa Howard, who resigned her seat in the 42nd House District just at the beginning of October to get appointed to the 5th sub-circuit in DuPage County. And then Judge Christina Kai was appointed in the 4th sub-circuit, and both of them are going to run to hold those seats. And, so it is critically important that we elect Democratic judges. There is a primary for the 3rd Appellate Court, which covers DuPage and several other counties, although DuPage is by far the largest. So there's a primary there to then face against a Republican in the fall next year.
And for folks who like maybe have people on their porches, I know that there's also events where they've got petition signing. Talk to us a little bit about this process where we've got to get candidates on the ballot.
Yeah, it's so a lot of folks who are politically active just may still not know what it takes to get candidates on the ballot, and by October 27th to November 3rd, candidates all over the state have to, from the governor to somebody running for the Forest Preserve, all have to collect a certain number of signatures from folks that live in that district or that voting block, and then turn those in just to prove that you have the support, so that we don't end with like 500 people running for every particular race, and just it's impossible to sort through the ballot. So many volunteers, Democratic precinct committee people have been going door to door in their precinct, going to events, protests, the farmers market, the grocery store, and getting Democrats to sign these petitions so that those can get turned in to get our candidates on the ballot. So this is called petition season. Folks can absolutely come to the Democratic office in DuPage, or the one in Downers Grove. So our office is in Carroll Stream. Just come in anytime that we're open and sign petitions for any of the candidates that you'll see on the ballot in the March 17th primary. And it's easy. It's a great way to help. And if you want to volunteer and help, talk to your neighbors, we'd love more people to become elected precinct committee people as well. So only 40% of our precincts in DuPage County right now have a precinct committee person. It's I went to the Women's March in 2017, and one of the speakers said the most important thing you can do is become a elected PC. And I was like, I have no idea what that is, but I want to do it. And so a lot of people did that back in 2018, and it's just as important now to get involved and volunteer and sort of represent your smallest neighborhood as somebody that can be a mouthpiece of our message, what Democrats are doing to help working families and fighting back against this, attempt to eliminate health care by pricing out millions of Americans.
And that's been really hard to get across. Well, it does seem as though the tide might be turning. I don't know if it's turning, but it does seem, if the polling numbers are accurate, that people do seem to understand that this government shutdown is an effort to make sure that the Affordable Care Act subsidies in so many states, because I think this was something that was not communicated well, or maybe is not understood, whatever the element is of disconnect between your health insurance and the subsidies. Like in Illinois, if we drop below a certain percentage of funding from the federal government, there are a lot of Illinoisans that stand to lose their insurance. And are you talking to folks who understand this and are concerned about their ability to keep insurance?
Yeah, I mean, the notices for people that are on the Affordable Care Act are going to start to go out in the next few days, in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be sticker shock. I mean, doubling, quadrupling in some cases, and many families will no longer be able to, they just will have no choice but to lose health insurance. I mean, a lot of folks don't realize that for the first decade or so of the ACA, about 10 million people were on the exchanges, which wasn't nearly as many as who wanted to be on it. So through the Inflation Reduction Act and the American Rescue Plan, that number doubled. We now have like 20 million people that are on the Affordable Care Act, and we've actually never had fewer uninsured people in the country than we do right now, and that's true in Illinois, and that is entirely because of one thing: Democrats. And the Republicans have been fighting it since the beginning of the ACA, as everybody should know. But that's what this is all about, is about pricing people out. Medicaid cuts are about that. And for people that aren't on the exchanges, a lot of folks don't realize this, but when you have many people who will lose their health insurance, be priced out, but then still have to go to the hospital for emergency care, which can be far more expensive if you have a chronic condition like diabetes that you haven't been able to treat, then that will end up raising premiums for literally everybody who has health care, for small businesses, and it is all for the ultra-wealthy Republican donors that is Donald Trump's base of support, and who the Republican oligarchs care about more than anybody else.
That's something I've been struggling with is trying to discuss these elements of, like, we've talked a lot on this show about the tariff wars that are really squeezing and now debilitating farmers across the country, including Illinois, because
Right.
China is not buying any of the soybeans. And this is what's hard for me to get across, is that when we were voting for Kamala Harris, when we vote for Democrats, we are also fighting we're voting for the protections, the future of farmers, of people who live in rural areas. I mean, it's this whole idea that it's blue cities against rural America is exhausting, and it's not accurate.
Right. Yeah. I think I heard this yesterday. There was a poll that I think it was well over a majority of people who self-identify as MAGA are against eliminating or not extending the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act. So this is not a partisan issue. I mean, healthcare is an issue that aligns everybody, which is why the Republicans are trying to turn this into some sort of grievance campaign, lying about it being about undocumented folks getting healthcare, which is illegal in the Affordable Care Act. They're just lying through their teeth because they know that everybody supports access to health care. I mean, I don't think anybody sort of woke up in the morning unless you're a Republican libertarian leader of the elected office and saying, you know what the problem is today is too many people have access to health care.
Yeah, I don't think so. Oh, Reed, it's always great to catch up with you. Is there anything else you want to make sure folks know about before we let you go, my friend?
Yeah, well, we've talked about a lot of horrible things going on, but, we're all about at the Democratic Party raising money to get Democrats elected, and that can be a lot of fun sometimes. We are having a bingo night in Elmhurst on October 24th. It's a Friday night, and that's going to be at Brew Point Craft, a coffee house on York Street in Elmhurst. It's a great family-friendly event to stop by, meet some elected officials, and play some bingo and win some prizes. So you can get the information on that on our website, DuPageDemocrats.com. You don't have to live in DuPage. It's pretty close to Suburban Cook, but if you're close to Elmhurst at all, swing by, play some bingo with us on October 24th, DuPageDemocrats.com to get the info.
Excellent. It was great talking to you. I look forward to our next conversation in a few weeks.
Likewise, Patty. All right, have a good one.
You too. Take care. Let's take a break here. Let's open up the phone lines. I know I haven't given folks a chance to chime in a little bit tonight. 773-763-9278. That's the Credo mobile phone and text line. Better for people on the planet, and they have 25% off your entire contract for 2 years. And if you go to credomobile.com and type in WCPT25. More after this on WCPT, KKNW, and KTNF.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
For years, we've been talking about the health benefits of drinking coffee. We may as well keep that up because a new study out of the University of Toronto found that women who drank 1 to 3 cups of caffeinated coffee per day in their 50s were more likely to reach older age free from chronic major diseases with good cognitive, physical, and mental health. You're going to ask, what about men? Well, I should note that this research relied on data from the nearly 50,000 women who were part of the Nurses' Health Study. Previous studies have shown that coffee is good for guys as well, though. Now remember, coffee can lose its health benefits quickly if you load up your cup with too much cream, sugar, or other sweeteners. If you don't drink coffee, I'm not suggesting you start just for health. But if you do, maybe this news will help you enjoy it a little bit more. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Constipation with belly pain that keeps coming back and back and back. If your symptoms keep coming back, talk to your doctor. It could be irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C. Linzess could help you get ahead of it. Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez.
Okay, I was wrong. Now that I see the call box, I see Naomi has called the show before from Santa Monica, so it's good to hear from. It was wonderful to hear you yesterday. Hey, Naomi, how you doing?
Fine. How are you?
It was great to hear you on the radio yesterday calling in. What's on your mind?
I kind of want to repeat. No, I want to repeat what I said yesterday.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's what's been on my mind. Yeah. Well, let's start with the joke.
Okay.
Okay. You know that the guy in D.C. is pressuring the Nobel Committee to issue him a. So I thought I could reach them, and it was really difficult for me because my text, all the letters in my text thing and my antiquated phone isn't working right, so I couldn't do the text. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try to reach them tomorrow. But I would like them to issue his prize, and that would be the Ig Nobel Prize.
Ig Nobel. There you go. That's right. But then he has to look that up. See, that's the problem with that joke. I love that. Thank you, Naomi. I love starting with a joke.
Yes. Oh, and the other thing is, so you think he's jealous of Obama? Is that what you think is going on?
I think it's in part. I think it's wild that somebody wants the Nobel Peace Prize who has ICE agents shooting pastors in the head while they're protesting and begging for mercy for immigrants. I don't. What is happening?
Well, a person like him would want the unattainable.
Yeah. Exactly.
And he's going to make everybody suffer if he doesn't get it, including Norway. That's what they're afraid of. But you know who else has a Nobel Peace Prize? Mm-hmm. A Nobel Prize for Science? The president of Mexico.
Oh, that's
Claudia
right.
Sheinbaum.
That's right. Yeah, that's got to be annoying to him as well. Yeah, that's not going to sit well with him. I know. By the way, She's instituting a lot of policies in Mexico that are uplifting people out of poverty, by the way. She's lifted the raise the minimum wage for folks. And this is the thing.
Raise the minimum wage?
Yep. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. And she's an environmental scientist, so she's got all kinds of stuff going on there.
Yeah. No,
and her brother, her whole family is scientists. She's got a brother who's an oceanographer. They're amazing.
Yeah. Well,
amazing family.
I'm so glad you called. Well, Dan was here, and thank you for calling us today. Thank you, Naomi.
Okay. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Take care.
I'm hydrating. I'm drinking tea and water.
Nice. Hopefully I'll have a chance. There might be an event I'm doing in Los Angeles coming up in November, so stay tuned. I'll try to update folks, okay?
Okay, thank you. Take care. Thank you, Lady D.
She waves and blows you a kiss. Thank you. Here's Jim. Hey, Jim. I was going to try to bring you on. I thought you might get a kick out of talking to Jimmy Tingle earlier, so I'm good.
Yeah, he was fabulous. Anyway, right. Patty, he was fabulous. Danny yesterday fielded the calls like Brooks Robinson, the human vacuum cleaner, played third base. He played third base for the Orioles, but. You think about they bought CBS apparently. The Republican Party bought CBS, and then they'll buy all these stations, and then they'll buy the radio stations, and then the internet. They own that, But what's really fascinating about that is I heard that the ICE operation has two, Russian style. Unidentified places where they look at all the transmissions on the internet. And I imagine, if we don't get rid of these buggers pretty soon, they'll come to your house. And if you say something, against ICE, I imagine they'll barge in your house. That wouldn't shock me.
Jim, are you? So I didn't mention this the other day, and I don't know if anyone else experienced this, but I was working from home on Tuesday morning, and the sirens went off. And for the first time since I was a kid, right when I remember doing the tornado drills, my heart kind of skipped a little bit because I kind of had a little bit of adrenaline rush. I'm like, is this it? Forgetting that it was Tuesday, 10 a.m., the second Tuesday of the month where they do the tornado drills.
Oh, right. When I first heard those two, I didn't hear those when I was living in this downtown, but I heard them out here. I'm on the sticks now, and I was shocked. And I called my brother. I said, "What the hell?" He said, "Well, that's they have that every Tuesday." I'm like, "Oh my God, okay." Right. But the same reaction, especially now you're on pins and needles with everything,
Yeah, but I am jumpy. Yep.
Yeah, but sure, who wouldn't be? Every day is this Nobel Peace Prize. All I can say is, I don't know if their monarch ever played baseball, the Republican monarch, I imagine he'd like to get in the Hall of Fame. I was staying a baseball thief from a, why not put him in the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame? I'm sure that he could claim that that Babe Ruth couldn't shine his spikes. You know what I mean?
Well, you definitely, at least it's better than having Ty Cobb sharpen his. You know what's funny?
Go ahead, Kitty.
Yeah, no, it's funny when you mentioned the third baseman. I was just thinking that it's. I'm just glad that Dan wasn't Lou Gehrig and I'm not Wally Pipp. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Thank you, Penny. Thank you much, bye.
Thanks, Jim. See, that's why I like talking to Jim. I can talk horse racing. I can talk baseball. Oh my God, the Cubs won. Hold on a second, Jim. Are you still there? Turn the radio down. No. Nope, he's gone. The Cubs won last night, so I was very excited. I mean, as much as I'm not necessarily following the Cubs as much these days, there's only so much energy I can put into things. But I look forward to talking to our good friend Dan Schaefer about the Cubs beating the Brewers. But I mean, unless of course by the next time we talk to him, we're not still in the. I mean, we've lost 2. We've got to win 3 in a row. It's a bit of an uphill climb is all I'm saying. But hey, you gotta have faith. Although there are now a lot of videos going around on social media that the world we went through some karma shift after the Cubs won the World Series, and then Trump won a couple weeks later, so that was a little bit rough. Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to talk to our good friend Ellie Krug, the host of the illegal trans woman, and also I want to make sure you guys know about what's coming up tomorrow on Choose Views, because Michelle Peltier will be in for Richard. She'll be joined by Carol Daniel, host of Listen St. Louis podcast, Karen Byrne of the True Blue Politics podcast, and Richard is going to be back on Monday. Oh, real quick, let's get to Dave. Do you want to talk now, or do you want to come in after the illegal trans woman? How you doing?
I'll try to cut it real quick with the talking on that Peace Prize. You know, today in history that in 2009, President Barack Obama got his Nobel Peace Prize on this day.
Oh, boy.
And it was for what the Norwegian Nobel Committee called his extraordinary efforts to strengthen international diplomacy and cooperation between peoples. You know, that eat that Trump. And, by the way, you got to start calling him Don Old.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Do a little half a heart.
It is interesting to me that he's not being covered in the way he talks and the things that he says in the same ways that President Biden was completely, just hammered away at for his age, for things that he said, how he looked, when this guy is clearly having some mental capacity issues. So I just saying.
Hey, and then real quick on that, this government shutdown being surpassed a week, and it's already put federal workers and military families in a financial bind with, food pantries in some portions of the country, experiencing 30% upticks already in traffic.
Yeah.
Get that, and then lastly, so you can get out of here. Did you hear where California Gavin Newsom was trolling with the Pam Bondi?
Yep.
Called it the pedophile protector. Pam the pedophile protector.
It's going to make them mad. Yeah, I did. Yeah, he's having a good time with it. Thanks, Dave. Good to hear from you, my friend. Have a good night.
Yep.
By the way,
too. Be well.
You too. By the way, for folks who don't know, a federal judge has halted Trump's Chicago military deployment. By the way, so that was just a little while ago. Trump's attempt to deploy hundreds of National Guard troops has been halted. I believe this is only a 2-week pause, though, and this is temporarily enjoin the Trump administration from ordering the federalization and deployment of the National Guard within Illinois. So we'll see what happens as this story develops. I will keep you posted. More after this on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950. And we'll talk to a host from KTNF in just a moment, Ellie Krug, the illegal trans woman, right here.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Look for clear skies tonight with a low near 50 and winds out of the southeast at 5 to 10. Friday, cloudy with a couple of isolated showers in the afternoon. High temperature of 64. Southwest winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Saturday, lots of sun and a high of 64 degrees. Sunday, plenty of sunshine with a high temperature of 65. Monday, lots of sun with a high temperature around 72. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 61.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
This is the sound of captivity. This is the sound of rescue. And this is the sound of freedom. Give Armenia's captive bearers a second chance by supporting International Animal Rescue. Call 508-826-1083 or search The Great Bear Rescue to learn more.
Kids across America are going to school hungry. Millions of kids every day. But one simple thing can help change all of this for a hungry child in America. Good, healthy food and the energy it brings. With help from caring people across America, No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. To learn more about ending child hunger in America, go to helpnokidhungry.org today.
When I first had my baby, I'd get comments all the time about how happy I must be. I remember thinking, I want to be happy. Why don't I feel that way? It was hard to admit that, even to my doctor, but I'm glad I did. She told me it was postpartum depression, and that is very treatable. These days, things are feeling good, and we're both happier about that. Right, little man? I'll take that as a yes.
Mental health care is working for Simone. See what it can do for you at mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
You're listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Welcome back to Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I want to welcome back to our show one of my favorite guests, a fellow radio host, a broadcaster, and a lawyer, all kinds of author, all the things. It's Ellie Krug, host of the Illegal Trans Women on KTNF AM 950. How you doing, Ellie?
Hey, Patty. I'm doing well, relatively good.
Sorry,
Thank
are you
you
hydrating?
for having me back.
Absolutely. I know. Sometimes I forget that I should say, are you hydrating? I'm trying to figure out a way to make a graphic and a sticker for folks to just put it on something. Oh, boy. There's so much going on.
Well, to be honest with you, I've started this new thing where people ask me how I'm doing, and I'm kind of saying, not really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, why sugarcoat it? Why,
Exactly.
Do that high-level, stuff? And why don't you just talk about what's going on in America right now, particularly as it relates to trans people?
Yeah, it is absolutely surreal. And it's interesting to me that, I remember, what was it, like 14 years ago? I can't remember when there was, do you remember the Ebola outbreak that people were basically...
Oh, my God.
Right? They were, and there were,
right.
I think there were 2 people on a flight to the United States, and President Obama had a response team. He had like a whole...
Oh, yeah.
And it was part of why they put together a pandemic playbook. But the Republicans used it to scare everybody, right? It was that he was mismanaging it, that people were gonna get sick, they were gonna die, and it was part of what they used for the midterm elections, and they were fairly successful at that. And then never heard about Ebola again, right? And then the migrant caravans were used, but there's something about weaponizing and marginalizing and targeting trans individuals that has stuck, and I guess because it's been sustained. I mean, was it started the amplification with the bathrooms in North Carolina? I'm trying to remember where this started to really start.
It started in 2016 in North Carolina with HB2. Yeah, that's when it started. It has stuck because when you devote $300-400 million worth of ads targeting a small group of people.
Yes.
The estimates range for trans people in America somewhere from 1.8 up to 5 or 6, 7 million people. I mean, I keep telling people there are far more trans people than anybody knows, but But when you do that and you just repeat it over and over again, I just had somebody on my show from the 19th News to talk about how attitudes have changed around allowing gender-affirming care, not only for trans kids and youth, but also for trans adults, with the percentages of people thinking it's okay for me to get my gender-affirming care. I mean, I resent the idea that people, get pulled and weigh in on whether I get to have care or not. But, that's – so it's – Patty, I will tell you, because it's been a while since you and I spoke, and I think in the time since you and I spoke, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And shortly after that, I mean, not even a week after that, we had Ronnie Jackson. You remember Ronnie Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Trump's, White House physician, who is now an elected representative from Texas. I mean, he called because, they're trying to tie transgender people to shootings, to mass shootings. I mean, the Annunciation Church shooting in Minneapolis, unfortunately, was somebody who had at least one time identified as trans, and the Charlie Kirk shooter, allegedly has a transgender lover. They are desperate to go after us. I mean, Ronnie Jackson called for the mass institutionalization of transgender people, and then Nancy Mace, not to be outdone, jumped on the bandwagon saying we should all be in straitjackets. I mean,
oh my God,
can you imagine if somebody? Patty, can you imagine if somebody said that for every diabetic in America? Every diabetic in America, because we don't know when you are going to maybe have a seizure. And so we're just going to, we just don't think that you should be able to get your medication. I just, it's just unbelievable.
It really is.
It is.
And now, I believe, is Minnesota also one of the cases that's being heard? Is this where the conversion therapy case is coming out as well?
No, that case is coming out of Colorado.
Oh, Colorado.
Out of Colorado. But Minnesota has banned conversion therapy along with, I think, 25 other states. But no, it looks like the Supreme Court is going to, it looks like it's poised to call unconstitutional any laws that ban conversion therapy. And, later on in this term for the Supreme Court, they're going to argue the transgender athletes cases. There's two of those cases. And I'm not holding up any, real hope for those cases either. No. One involves, now I think she's 15, but she transitioned when she was 5 years old, a trans athlete who has lived her whole life, essentially as a girl, and they're going to say that you've got to go play on the boys, sports team. Come on. Anyway, my community is on edge, Patty, just so you know.
Well, I didn't realize, how do I put this? So I have a friend who is deeply involved in this with a family member. And I've known the family member for most of their lives, and they have always had very long hair. Well, here essentially, and I saw Alexander Billings talk about this as well. When they were a boy, they kept calling them a girl, right? And now that they are living their life as a woman, they want her to be a boy. And it's like why? Who gave anyone the right to tell you who you are and what you should be or how you should live your life? Is
exactly
absolutely it fries my brain. You can hear it right now. I'm being very clumsy because I'm so frustrated with this. But
it's the same frequency of who gets to tell you whether you have to carry a baby. From a rapist. My God.
Yeah.
Okay? It's the same. And Patty, really what it's all about is this desire for a stringent, ordered society where there is conformity, where, the male in the nuclear family is the dominant person, the female is subservient and puts all the decision-making on the male. The children are heterosexual. They fit all kinds of normative goals. And that family is reliable. They're reliable. You don't have to worry about them creating some kind of discomfort in society. And that's the whole goal. That's what they're shooting for.
Yeah, I think about this sometimes. Like when people stare at my son who has disabilities, and their brain fries even with somebody who they just can't they can't understand why something happened, and they have to be able to put it in a box. Or even my ethnicity, like my heritage. I've been asked what am I since I can remember, since I was 5 years old. I know, what are you? And I joke about how I'm a woman.
Human.
Yeah, exactly. What nationality are you? And I'm like, I'm an American, but that's never enough. What? Part of my brain thinks they can't handle chaos. That's not how they would do something. So you shouldn't, right? It's chaotic to them.
No. You're right on the money. They cannot handle chaos.
Yeah.
And again, we're back to this ordered society. And what transgender people do is we represent the biggest possible chaos that there could be. What do you mean your brain doesn't match your body?
Right.
How in the world could that even be possible? By the way, go read my book. Okay?
Yes.
My first book where I talk about that, where I struggled with the idea that I could choose to stay, identifying as a man. But, Patty, you and I have talked about this before, so we're going to remind your listeners, people are just wired differently.
Yes.
I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
I didn't ask to be left-handed. Okay.
Same. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a complicated. People don't realize how complicated of a world it is to be left-handed. But let's take a break here. We're talking to Ellie Krug, host of The Illegal Trans Woman. You can also go to elliekrug.com to catch up on her blogs and find out more about her book, which is now out, Being Ellen, in addition to your first book, which is, remind me.
Getting to Ellen.
Getting to Ellen and Being Ellen. Go to elliekrug.com. We have a listener who's just called in, so let's take a break here if you don't mind for another segment. Sound good?
Absolutely, my dear.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150 in Seattle, and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Thanks for joining us.
If Cage Walls Could Talk with Jody Whittaker.
Captain Paul Watson is a marine wildlife conservation and environmental activist.
And as his head rose out of the sea and his eye was there right before me, so close I could see my own reflection in that eye. That whale understood what we were trying to do because I could see the effort he made to pull himself back. And instead of crashing forward, he began to slide back to the sea. His eye disappeared beneath the surface and he died. He could have killed us and chose not to. So I owe my life to that whale.
If Cage Walls Could Talk, Saturdays at 5.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. Donald Trump has implemented a barbaric anti-immigration policy with mass deportations and having ICE agents showing up unannounced at people's homes, workplaces, and anywhere they suspect, separating families, ruining lives, and deporting people without any due process. But one company is taking a stand against Donald Trump. Greyhound Bus Lines has implemented a no warrant, no boarding policy. This prohibits ICE agents to enter the vehicle without a warrant. Greyhound Bus says they want to guarantee the rights and civil liberties of their passengers. Greyhound Bus is the largest inner-city bus system in the U.S., with over 1,600 destinations. Maybe this will lead to more companies stepping up like Greyhound is. This has been WCPT telling you that you can shop blue.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready for something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy. The teachers, the growers, the builders. The skilled, the sharers, the change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. From tackling climate change in Mexico to keeping kids healthy in Kenya, from sustainable farming in the Philippines to education in Kosovo. We learn more, give more, share freely, and serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff? To go the distance to make a difference? Then we have a place where you belong. Join us at peacecorps.gov.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
This is Patty Vasquez. We appreciate all our fans of Driving It Home, and your support of show sponsor Minocqua Brewing Company ensures that our important conversations continue right here on WCPT each weekday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can now find the Resistance IPA, Labor Lager, or the Resistance Pilsner beer at several Illinois locations, including Armanetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Pineapple and Company in North Riverside, Lions Beverage Depot in Arlington Heights, and MP's Liquor, Wine, and Beer in North Aurora. For a full list of Chicagoland locations, please visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. As always, please vote and drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez.
Thank you for joining us as we continue our conversation with Ellie Krug, host of The Illegal Trans Woman on KTNF AM 950, and the author of Being Ellen and Becoming. Is it Becoming Ellen? Getting to Ellen.
No, the first book is Getting to Ellen. Getting to Ellen, a memoir about love, honesty, and gender change.
Excellent. And the website for everyone is elliekrug.com. That's ELLIEKRUG.com. Ellie, we have a listener calling in from Seattle. This is Paul, and Paul wants to join our conversation. Paul, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, my friend?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Elliott's right. It's the first thing politically is what a sick obsession that the right wing has with other people's gender, whatever it is, or their sexual identity. I mean, and really, who should decide more than the person what their identity is? That's the one thing I don't understand about them is that. And then they say, well, science should. Well, science isn't a person. Science is a field of study. But that's not really what they're about. In fact, what I notice is when I hear them talk about transgender people, I heard Ben Shapiro debating with Neil deGrasse Tyson about transgender issues, and Ben Shapiro kept referring to this. I keep hearing this as well. If a person is a biological male or a biological female, and as a person who has a bioscience degree, I realize that's not the way we discuss this kind of thing. We would discuss it as a genotypic male or a genotypic female, and what is the phenotypic expression. That's how a scientist would talk about it, because they're different. They're very different. So it's not like the sex chromosomes are like Tinker Toy ID cards. That the question is, what do the chromosomes do? That's the question. And
Paul, I'm going to interrupt you, but you know that there's variation in the chromosomes. I mean,
absolutely.
It's not all XY and and YY. I mean, There are all kinds of variations, and that goes back to what Patty and I talked about being wired left-handed. It just
I'm left-handed.
happened.
Exactly.
Look at this.
I'm left-handed.
What are the chances? Barely 100%.
Yeah, I mean, and I had to go through that when I was learning to write at school. They kept taking the pencil out of my left hand and put it in my right hand and changing the paper. I went through that. Yeah. So, but what the chromosomes do biologically or biochemically is they code for production of hormones. They code for all kinds of enzymes that make, and there's great cascade of variation. A number, and so there's huge variation amongst this, So there's, but they're okay. See, the right wing, they're okay with, and I think this is the Supreme Court decision in the Virginia law that says, if there's a boy who's not quite as masculine as he or his parents might want to be, well, we're okay with gene therapy hormone therapy to sort of off in the male direction because he's he's genotype XY. But what the hell is that's a value judgment? Why can't they go there? Why can't the person go the way they want to? Right? I don't get that.
Yeah. Well, I so appreciate your perspective because I mean, even in the animal world, there's all kinds of biodiversity. I mean, it's not. Yeah. I mean, what did they just discover? A green jay. That was a mix from a blue jay and I mean, everything is always in transition. But the fact is that transgender people are real. The Republicans, MAGA, want to believe we are not real. They want to believe that if we only got the right kind of therapy, or if we only got the right kind of religion, or if we only got the right kind of restriction on our thinking, that somehow we will be cisgender. And I am here to yell and shout from the highest mountain. Transgender people are real. We exist. We got this way. We don't know how. But my God, we deserve the right to be who we are in public without the government telling us that we can't be.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Patty, I'm on my soapbox.
Get it, go. Please.
Well, let me give you an example about the other thing you hear them say is that the right wing say is that genetics is always geared towards propagation and reproduction, and that's not true. There's a very simple example that you get in basic biology, which is that immunity to malaria is in a quarter of the population of people who are sickle cell anemia, and the other quarter of the population will not be immune at all. Half the population will be, but the other half won't be and will die. So no, it's not all geared towards propagation. Have to be for immunity to malaria. You have to be. I won't get to the wonky terms, but half of the population is immune, and half of the population will not be immune and will suffer. So they don't understand genetics, and they just it's a hang-up. It is a value judgment hang-up that I think is really more psychological for them. I worry about people who are hostile to others. Like you're thinking too much about somebody else's sexual identity. And, of course, what we find is, they have their own we keep seeing these examples of people on the Republican side, being caught with they have all this value judgment publicly, and then what are they doing privately? They keep being caught, It's like
they're being pedophiles. That's what they're being. Or they're having these massive affairs. Or look at Donald Trump, where he's having sex with a woman while his wife is nursing a brand new baby. I mean, a new baby. I mean, it's just. The hypocrites, but they're way beyond. They don't care about being hypocrites. It really is, Patty and Paul. It's about order.
Yeah.
That is all it's about.
And that's so. Thank you for calling, Paul. I do want to come back because a listener texted in about my saying that it's chaos, and I sometimes I'm not as articulate as you would hope a radio host to be, but what I mean is we represent chaos to them. Our world is I mean, I love caring for my son. I am a proud Latina, proud Chicago, all those things. But to other people who can't wrap their minds around it, it's chaotic for them. So my apologies to the 847, and thank you for your patience for me to explain myself on that.
I think it's to contribute to the conversation. Okay?
Well, I only have a little bit of time here, and I do have a question from a listener.
All I want to know is what's your assessment of what's going on with Trump and his hit list and his enemies list.
Yeah,
that's it, basically.
Yeah, I haven't really paid too much attention to the. You mean I don't know if it's like the arrests and things like he wants Mayor Johnson arrested and Governor Pritzker or.
No, Letitia, to be specific.
Oh, right. Comey and Letitia, yeah. Ellie, any thoughts on these new charges against Letitia and mortgage fraud that she's been indicted for?
These are. It sounds like they've got. Who knows what they are presenting to the grand jury? That's my question. Okay, because it's only a one-sided. There's not like two parties that are in front of the grand jury. So I'm wondering if they're only presenting the stuff that they think will convict and without the stuff that's exonerating. So it's horrible. It just is, Patty. And it's a sign of them continuing to do this. But go ahead. What did you have for a comment?
One more question. So I don't know if we have time for this, but I apologize. How is transgender different from body dysmorphic disorder? And when do you decide it's okay for someone to cut body parts off and when it is not okay? So there's a person with body dysmorphic disorder. Well, this is a longer conversation, so I don't think that's necessarily something we can deal with here. But I appreciate, wanting to join the conversation. I'm not sure if it's coming from an accusatory angle, so we'll table that one, Ellie, because I never know where. It's hard to retone, right, in a text. Ellie, it's a pleasure always to talk to you, my friend. Thank you for joining us, and again, author of Being Ellen, and you can go to elliekrug.com to learn more. Always a pleasure. I'll talk to you in a few weeks.
Thanks so very much, Patty. I love coming back. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Take care,
and if you need someone to talk to your listeners about being in the war zone, I'm always available too.
Okay, that is great to know.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lady B. Have a great night, everyone. Love you. Bye.
He has an overbite that makes him look like a cartoon character, a slightly crooked eye, and an uncommonly wrinkly neck. In the right light, he can look a little like a garden gnome. And he'll wear a bow tie just because. Sure, you might call him a little quirky.